Hello and welcome back to the Drivers Room Endurance Championship Season 4 Round 2 Tier 2 here at Circuit de St Croix. After the first round of the season, we saw MartinB take a dominant victory in the Group 4 class with Mungino and Stephen not far behind with Yaganat in 4th. Let's see what happened down on the grid in qualifying. As we take a look at the cars now, resplendent in the sunshine. We've got 13 runners today, so a pretty good field, and we'll have a look, see how we're lining up today. So on the grid here at St Croix, we have a Jaganat in the Mazda RX Vision Rotary Monster on pole position. Not a great car in a straight line, but a fantastic handling car, and we'll see how he does from pole. In second place, we have the fast-starting Ferrari of Gr4. Look for him to possibly take the lead off the line. Then we have Stephen in the McLaren. Fabulous-looking car, but a pretty poor starter, so he may drop back early in this race. Then we have Flapjack in the Toyota FT1, a middling starting car. Look for him to try and get ahead of Stephen, and maybe even challenge into T1. And we have Mung in the previously unraced Alpha 4C. We'll see how that goes for him. Then we have Martin in the Porsche. A wily campaigner, that Porsche. Many people have taken and made good use of it. And another user here, Coolio, in the Porsche 911. And we have Spooky Lukey in the bright yellow banana coloured Jaguar GR3 F-Type. And we have Yules in the Mercedes AMG. This is an excellent starting car. Look for him to be jumping a couple of rows at the start. And another one right behind here, JC in the Criolla MLR Life Racing Mercedes. And another fast starting car here of the Aston Martin of Rocker in the infamous and famous, I guess, Atari livery. And we have Canny in the other available Mazda Group 3 car, the Atenza, and Daz at the back in the Porsche 911 for him to make some places early on after a poor qualifying. So let's see how the race went down. So we are off and away, and as I said, Gr4 was going to say great start. Starting on the super soft tyres, as most of the field will be. On board with the mid-pack here as we head up towards turn 1, through into the sharp right-hander of turn 2. And that's a big start for... Oh, a bit of contact there from Spooky Lukey and Flapjack around the outside. An excellent start for G-Rabbit. Stephen managed to hold on in P3. As we're on board with Spooky with the powerful Jag. But unfortunately he's not in the slipstream. Is he going to have a look into T3, the tight hairpin? No, it's actually Mung having a look. As we see, Rocker goes very wide into the hairpin, missed his braking point, or maybe he got tapped from behind. Martin has the driver with the poor start. He's down to 9th position after the first couple of corners, so we'll have to see what happened with him. Poor start in the Porsche. Can be a difficult car to start. JC as we're back on with the front, and already Jangonap right up behind G-Rabbit. Pushing already as Flapjack goes wide out of the 90-degree left-hander. Very easy to make a mistake there. As we follow the grid through. There's Martin trying to work on JC. Of course, our winner last time out and the Tier 3 champion last season. Martin needs to move forward in this race. There is Canny at the back, so it's like Canny's had a problem. As we skip back to the front, G-Rabbit's managed to maintain position. And that Mazda isn't as good in this section of the track. A lot of straights. And it's not the best car in a straight line. Jaganette looked like he almost touched the wall there on the exit. There's G-Rabbit in the Ferrari. Now the Ferrari starts well, but it has pretty poor tyre wear. And when it does start to go off, it's fairly difficult to drive. So we're watching the field now. This will be a long slipstream train down the back straight. It's up to 160, 170 miles an hour. Is JC down the inside. Is he going to make a late move on Coolio in the Porsche with Martin right behind? He does go through on the inside. Martin wisely backs out there, doesn't try and force the issue too early. Of course, this is an hour-long race. And G-Rabbit has managed to stay ahead in that fast Ferrari. It is good in a straight line, better than the Mazda. But the Mazda is very good through him. Steven is wide through the fast left. That's going to compromise him through the right as we head up towards the tight off-camber right-hander. Oh, and a bit of contact there between Coolio and JC. JC trying to stick his nose in, and actually Martin's used that opportunity to get by up into 8th position. Oh, but clips the wall. That's an uncharacteristic error from Martin there. And Coolio's going to have the run back pass. So what a mistake there from Martin. He got a free position and then threw it away in the dirty air. We're now back on board with these guys. Tight old battle here. Martin having another go at Coolio. Down the inside at the end of the bridge. A little lock up there for Martin. So he's showing that he's running a different style of ABS settings. We're back on board with the front pack here, and it looks like Jaganette got through in the tight twisty section, but they've managed to stay with him. Unfortunately, Steven and Jet Flapjack seem to have better cars in a straight line than G-Rabbit out of that corner. And Flapjack's going to stick his nose in. And Steven now having a look at P1. Can he make that happen down the inside? The McLaren is exceptional in a straight line. Pretty good on the brakes. Can he make it work? I think Jaganette will have the line through here, but the next corner is a right-hander. Jaganette hands tough, and it's actually the Ferrari of G-Rabbit going wide there in the dirty air. But Jaganette does hold on. Steven will have another shot though down the main straight. That's another long straight, and you might have it going to T1 or T2. Now Flapjack had a great run through there. For all that it is a mid-engine car, sorry, a front-engine car compared to a mid-engine car up ahead. The FT1 has fantastic turning, and actually G-Rabbit's fallen a long way off the back of the top three there. I think he made a mistake, ran wide. We saw a little bit of dust kick up. Meanwhile, Coolio's got back ahead of Martin again, and Martin's being really held up here. Of course, after a dominant win last time, you'd expect him to be the driving force in this championship, and at the moment he's got to get himself back up the order a bit. So we see a nice battle here between Rocker and Daz. Daz, a wily campaigner, doesn't risk causing any sort of incident early in the race. Always a class act, a gentleman driver, as is Rocker ahead of him. Long-standing members of the driver's room community. So we're back on board with Stephen, who hasn't managed to find a way past that Mazda, and now he's going to struggle compared to the Mazda through this next section, because the McLaren is quite an understeery mid-engine car. As I was just saying before I interrupted myself, Flapjack actually looked like he had better top high-speed front grip there through that final sector. And we see a similar thing here as Jaggernaut with the clean air, nothing to dirty his front wing, having great pace at the moment. And the backlink at the front has actually given Mung and Spooky Lukey a chance maybe to leapfrog G-Rabbit if they can get this done early and have a shot back at the leaders, as we see Flapjack now having a look at Stephen. These boys have got to be careful. If they battle too hard, they'll lose the chance to stay with Jaggernaut, who seems to have the fastest car out there at the moment. But Flapjack has made it happen. Stephen having a look around the outside, but he can't make that happen. Didn't get in good enough drive as they head down towards the corner onto the bridge. A very difficult corner. Got to brake much earlier than you think, and it's all about the drive off the corner. And you can't really see the outside curb, and it's very easy to run wide there and lose a whole heap of time. As we head down towards the other end of the bridge now on lap 3. Starting to think about strategy as well here. A lot of these drivers on the super soft tyres. Mung running a little bit wide there. Bad exit as we're now at the end of lap 3, and Jaggernaut is the first one to pit, along with Spooky Lukey in the Jaguar F-Type Group 3. And that releases Flapjack into the lead. Jaggernaut, not an awfully long stop. And we'll get a small advantage here of the fact that he can probably jump straight back onto the back end of this slipstream trail. Currently Flapjack has the fastest lap of the race, but that's very much down to the fact that he got the slipstream. Stephen now having a look down into T3. Tight hairpin, deep on the brakes. Who's got the bravest? And it is Stephen who leads into the tight twisty section of 90-degree corners. This is the kind of permanent road track, road course part of the circuit. As we see an interesting glitch there for Gran Turismo, putting Jules at the lead. And he's now jumped back to 13th, so that's a wonderful bit of network lag there. And now Stephen, this part of the track very much feels like a proper road racing course. It's a permanent race course, and that's what gives this track this flavour of feeling a bit like Le Mans. You have that section after here where it feels like you're back on public roads. And there's a real difference in how wide the track is and how much grip it almost feels like there is on the circuit. This section feels very grippy. You can really throw it around. As we now jump to the end of lap 4, and G-Rabbit, who is constantly falling down the order now on those old tyres. Jaggernaut, who's already pitted, has got back ahead of him before he made the pit stop. Let's see who's in this time. It's going to be Jack and Stephen, and it looks like Stephen has done a slightly... No. Sorry, Jack has done a better job on fuel at the moment. Sorry, my preview window is quite small and hard to read. We'll see how the fuel stacks up later on. A lot of cars in the pits this time. And Martin has made a big jump up the field, it looks like. JC's still in the pits. Martin's already left the pits and actually is up with G-Rabbit. And a mistake there from Flapjack. He catches the ball, as does Coolio there on the old tyres. And that's going to give Mung an easy run. Should see the same from Spooky Lukey, who of course took those tyres a lap earlier, I believe, than Mung. Caught up a little bit, but couldn't get past. Easy pass there on Coolio. Will he go for a dive? That would be very, very optimistic. You'd have to catch Mung napping, basically. Oh, a big slide there from the big V8 powered Jag. And as we're on board with the quad rotor screaming RX Vision, Jaganet's got a nice gap now, taking that undercut to get away from the pursuing cars. Of course, the tyre wear here is quite strong. It's a long lap at over 3 minutes. And you're only getting 3 or 4 laps out of the tyres. It is possible to do something like a 2-stop here and do 6 laps a pop, but it is very difficult to manage those tyres that well. The Group 3 cars are actually quite aggressive on their tyres compared to some of the other classes. As we are now watching, Spooky did get past Mung on that infield sector, so we didn't see that as we cross back onto the public road section. Well, not quite public road yet. Public road, once we get to the bridge section, you can see the difference in the tarmac as they cross onto it now. You see the patchy road, and then we'll have white lines. So this is public road now, and there is a real definitive difference in how wide the track is, how the track feels underneath you. As we see Mung having a look back now in the Alpha. Very good car on the straight line, not straight line, sorry, through the corners. Pretty good under brakes as well, as we see he gets down the inside. A great move by Mung. Mung kind of seen as the measuring yardstick in Tier 2. As someone who doesn't ever want to go back to Tier 1 with the current damage sensitivity in that tier. And he has been around now. It's a very useful yardstick for seeing how people will compete. Stephen now behind Flapjack. Flapjack got the move done in the infield. Here comes Stephen back at him. And at the moment, Jaganat has got clean air all around him. No one pressuring him. He's just got to set his pace on the slightly older tyres than the 2 cars chasing him. But these 2 have got to be careful not to start fighting too much. And Spooky's got back past Mung with a long looping outside line, it looks like. Oh, Daz has a big wobble. Can he hold it? We don't quite stay on board to see that, as it's now Jack and Stephen at the end of lap 5. Bit of a wiggle there for Jack. Don't know if he was trying to warm up his tyres. Stephen has a run now into T1. He's going to send it up the inside. There's a little bit of almost contact there between those 2. Stephen wisely backed out. Is he going to try and concentrate on getting a better run out of T2? He looks like he's been strong through there all day. And he makes a mistake that time. It looks like he's dropped off the back of Jack. As we head down the backs, or the first of the kind of long, full speed straights. Jaganat's got a big gap now. These 2 aren't helping themselves in a chance to chase him down. The guys who are bringing themselves into the race include Martin and Spooky and Mung all have a shot now at the podium. I think those 2 have battled enough that there's a chance. So we're on board now with Martin, as we see a bit of contact there between Mung and Spooky. Looks like Spooky ran wide on the way in. Mung tried to get the jump on him on the switchback, and Spooky came back across, as now the Porsche has the run on Martin. No, not sorry, on Mung, on board with Martin. And now can he hold it on? Mung seemed to give that up quite easily. So we follow Spooky now down the tricky downhill, and that's a bad line through there. Martin much tighter, got on the power earlier. Mung trying the long line round the outside a bit as well, trying to use the momentum to then switch back into the slipstream to get the power down early, but it looks like Martin got the best run out of them, keeping that tighter line. G-Rabbit still in the picture there. If these guys have a little incident, he could pick up some good positions and time. But that Ferrari definitely seems to be laying down. Mung, as we see that, wily. Knows he just needs to stay out of trouble here, and he might get a run. Martin trying to make up positions, get back into that fight for the podium. G-Rabbit now right on the back of Mung. At the same time, let's see what's happening here. We've got these 2 still battling. And now Stephen leads. Good battle between these 2. Got to be careful. Very easy to cost yourself too much time battling. This time Stephen runs wide. That's going to put him right out on the grass. And that is all Stephen's fault there. Nothing Flapjack could have done differently, and these guys aren't far behind. Martin having a big look into the second to last corner. Really good drive through there. The Porsche's got fantastic turning, it seems, around this track. Jagannath has pitted and come out back in the lead. So having that dirty, clean air, and now fresh tyres, he should be well away. As we're back and forth, Spooky looking, puts himself in the wall really there. Martin had a nose there. Spooky came across. Martin didn't want to lift out, and those two have cost themselves. I said this could happen, and now Mung will take the position up to P4. And that's a little bit of inexperience there, I think, from Martin and Spooky. Spooky probably should have left Martin a bit more room. Martin shouldn't have forced the issue so much so early in this race. He's a championship contender, and Spooky needs to up his game if he wants to start being considered in that group. He has good pace but makes mistakes. Meanwhile, at the front, it looks like maybe Jagannath had a mistake, because Flapjack's right on the back of him. Now he's got to make this happen quickly, because Jagannath's going to have hot tyres. He's going to have a good run, but here comes Flapjack looking to the outside now. This is a move that can go off if you've got the... And it's given it by Jagannath. That's incredible. I thought Jagannath would have felt much more confident on those brakes there. Could have had the inside line. But he concedes. He knows he's got a pit stop up on these boys at the moment, and is racing with them. There is G-Rabbit in the Ferrari, hanging on in there on those dead tyres. That car is an absolute handful once the tyres start to go off. And Martin currently has the fastest lap of the race. Great lap at the moment, in battling with the second part, kind of second pack we've got here with the leaders. Now Stevens through on Jagannath as well, so really Jagannath's got the best tyres here, but kind of dropped the ball a bit. He should have been a bit more aggressive on that first pass, because now he's got freight trained a little bit. Luckily, the group behind is that little bit too far back to make this worse, and now Flapjack's made a mistake with the feisty Toyota Turbo. Very easy to do. Not the best of runs through there, but Jagannath actually looks like he's really struggling with the dirty air. It's the first time he's had to run with it since the first lap, and I think that's actually costing him a little bit. Not really sure what sort of car he's got underneath him at this point, as Coolio is in the 8th position, a little bit further back from the pack than he was before the first set of stops, so he's dropped off a little bit. And Daz, after his earlier moment, brings up the rear of the field as we're now on board with our lead pack again. Stephen, he's just pushing it too hard. That's going to allow both Flapjack and Jagannath through. And that's a real error there. That could have been a really useful position for Stephen. Could have controlled the pace and backed the pack up. That really put some pressure on Jagannath actually for making that mistake. And now throws away another 3 or 4 seconds, maybe 2 seconds of time. Looks like maybe Jack stays out, so does Stephen. Does anyone take the pits? Yes, they do. G-Rabbit does in the Ferrari, as does Spooky Lukey in the Jag. New set of Pirelli P0s going on the Jag, as we're back on board with the leaders, and looks like Jagannath's finally had enough of being in the pack. Jack tries to make it work around the outside, but that's a 90-degree corner and not an easy place to run side by side, and miss the apex. Now it's going to be a straight line speed race. Now the Toyota is better in a straight line, but he got a worse run off the corner, and Stephen with the slipstream is coming back through, making this 3 wide. Hold on horses, boys, we're only just under halfway through this race. Can Stephen make it work, or will Jagannath get the cutback? But Flapjack's dropped from 1st to 3rd after 2 corners, and this is pulling Martin back into this race. And this is what I was saying earlier. Martin knew he had to get through the field, because if there was battles up ahead, his superior tyre wear, because the Porsche both is very good on tyres, but Martin is exceptional on making older tyres work for him. And he's managing to catch back up and really setting himself up into this race. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we're on board with Coolio and Spooky, who's already pitted. So we're on that back straight now, and Jack has been put under pressure by Martin there in the Porsche. This is starting to look like it's Jagannath's blasted away. Stephen's got the straight line speed, I think, though. Jack is having a little look deep on the brakes. You see those carbon rotors glow under the heavy braking into the tight hairpin at the end of the back straight. This is a difficult section of track. On board now with the helmet cam of Stephen. He's going to try something through here. Is he going to back off? He made a mistake here last lap. A little bit more trust in the car at this point, or maybe just being harried by Martin behind, making him try and push. I was saying earlier that the FT1 is pretty good through this section in comparison to the McLaren, but it looks like Jack doesn't have quite the car underneath him that he did at the start of the stint. Well, Stevens protected those front tyres maybe better. We saw Martin being exceptional through there. Mung is still in with a shot here of a podium. He's kept it clean. G-Rabbit on those old tyres, those high wearing tyres, is starting to drop back from that leading group now, but he's still ahead of Spooky. As we see Jack and Stephen in this time. Jack has absolutely lunched his fuel. Stephen's done a much better job looking after it, and that's going to be crucial now to see how they go in this race. On board now at the end of lap 9. We have got Martin coming up the pits. Jack comes to the inside, blasts back past him, so uses the undercut very effectively. He's got around 40% fuel, maybe just under. And Martin is ahead of Mung, but it's Spooky Lukey now up to P3 with G-Rabbit. Those guys took the earlier pit stop, of course. Possibly didn't fuel, but will be pitting soon, as will Jagana, who I think pitted the last lap. He's going every 3 laps. But it's Stephen who took the biggest lump of fuel, even though he had more fuel than Flapjack, and has actually put himself down the order on a heavier car, which will wear its tyres quicker. So is he thinking that he can now use this opportunity to jump them at the end of the race? But Spooky's been putting in his personal best lap times of the race, so he's really doing a good job here. He could surprise us for a top 5, maybe even a podium. G-Rabbit making the Ferrari work as well. A difficult car to drive, as I've said before. But is currently running purple on not the freshest of tyres. Oh, a little bit of a tyre squeal from there. Not a great line through there. Wasn't very smooth. And again, fishtailing Ferrari. That's not what we want to see. Meanwhile, here's the man in control of this race. Currently the fastest lap holder. And that's a big gap that he's got back to the rest of the field. So Jagannat really pumping in those good lap times right now. Really showing why he's should be considered in the running for the championship and the promotion spots up to tier 1. Meanwhile, a little bit further down the field, we've got a great little battle here between Rocker and Daz. Like I said earlier, these two absolute gentleman drivers, always giving each other space, really showing how the spirit of the driver's room should be upheld. Should be upheld. Yes, that sounds like English. As we go down the back straight now. Yeah, power of that Aston just outstripping the Porsche. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? And it's going to be Rocker. Daz doesn't see any point fighting that. They're down in the lower points paying positions at the moment. A better run out of that corner for Daz, using the Porsche's very good downforce and grip out of the corner, as we're now on board with Jagannat, who's pitting, as is G-Rabbit. But it looks like Jagannat's going to come out the pits and maintain the lead again. It's now Flapjack into P2 with Martin in P3, Mung in 4th, Spooky pits as well. So that's what gave them the position. I thought they'd still had one more lap of fuel or something. So it cost themselves a little. Oh, another lock up there for Martin. Martin obviously running like I said before, different ABS setting. Shows a little bit of lock up. Might be running weak or even no ABS. But a big puff of smoke there into the tight 90-degree right-handed. Starts off this lap. It's such a crucial corner. You can lose 3 or 4 tenths just by getting a bad run through there. You've got to late apex it a lot harder than you think. And there is Stephen in the McLaren. Took that fuel, of course, so we'll see if he can make the positions back later, but he will have to suffer with worse tyre wear. But Martin really showing why he was tier 3 champion and why he's considered a front runner here for a tier 2 crown at the moment. Martin's having great tyre wear and tyre conservation. Trying to take the least out of the car possible. But it's a little bit down on the fastest man here today, who looks to be Jaggernaut. Spooky Lukey on his outlap, battling again with Coolio, but took a lot of fuel on board, I believe, as has Coolio. He's got almost a full tank of fuel on there, so he'll probably be going most of the way to the end of that tank of fuel. Back on board with these two. Now on lap 11, Daz with the better grip in the Porsche, and that looks like Yule's not behind it, not far behind. But again, he's not willing to make that kind of killer instinct move that you'd possibly see in a Tier 1 race, of sending it up the inside, instead waiting, getting the run. As Yule's closing up as well. There's a lot of wear on those tyres on Rocker's Aston Martin. He's being protected by his immense straight line speed in that Aston. Also one of the best starting cars. And a mistake there for Daz. Got out of those marbles, you could see. And a poor exit. And that's going to give Yule's 10th position. But Daz is on the inside line. Got to be careful though. It's very easy to run wide as you hit the wash. And he does. Oh, he clips that barrier. And what a shame. Oh, another big incident for Daz. And look at the state of those rear tyres now. His car is absolutely a mess. As we do go on back to the front now, with Martin looking down the inside of Flapjack into T1. We'll maintain the position into T2. Nice run there through Martin, cut onto the apex very nicely, using the front end of that Porsche. We won't have as good straight line speed, but definitely looks good as we're back on board with Jaggernaut, who looks like he's setting the purple first sector. Martin again takes the fastest lap of the race, probably draft assisted. And that will be another point that Jaggernaut will want to take back. He'll want the clean sweep if he can get hold of it. On board with Stephen, running wide in that McLaren, and he has dropped a little bit down the order. He's pitting, he's got loads of fuel on board, so this should be a fairly quick stop as Jack pits as well. And now Spooky coming up the main straight, and G-Rabbit closing up on the recovering or re-entering Jack. Jack gets the cutback out of T2, and this is what I was saying about it's really important to get a late apex. If you run it in too deep, don't get on the power very well, then someone can really get a good run back at you. And now it's the number 14 car against the number 96 Ferrari. A little bit of a squeeze there from Flapjack. Ooh, a bit of argy-bargy there, but a good move by Flapjack. Sails it down the inside, maintains the position that he had as he came out the pits. And that's going to be crucial for him maintaining a podium position in the race overall. On board with Stephen, he's on an outlap as well. Spooky looking not far behind. As we cut forward now, we've got Stephen on G-Rabbit. So another lock-up it looked like for G-Rabbit. Maybe he's running a similar ABS setting to Martin. So we don't seem to see that for a lot of drivers who are running the default setting, which is basically magic brakes. World of Gran Turismo. But you've got to commend G-Rabbit here for taking that very difficult to drive Ferrari and doing a great job in it. It can be quick over a lap, but I do think it struggles in a full race distance. Hard to make the tyres work. And then we have Stephen in that McLaren, another car that's very difficult to kind of get the best out of. It is a stunning looking machine. Oh, as we cut forward a lap, and Stevens actually dropped it into the difficult kind of double apex right-hander, and that's going to give a free position to Spooky Lukey, and really showing that keeping up the track is important. You see Steven chasing back after him, and there we are the lap later. Let's see what happens here with Spooky, and Spooky's done exactly the same incident in exactly the same way, and just repaying the favour. 10 out of 10 work, boys. As we're back on board with Jack. Toyota, and Martin's got a big old gap there. So he's making his strategy work well. Mung's not far behind in the 4th position. This is a great drive by Martin. Like we say, he didn't start very high up in the grid and fell back a bit. But strategy and keeping his nose clean and using the slipstream to his advantage where he needed to, it's kind of the weakness for that Porsche, really shows that good tyre wear and good fuel conservation makes a big difference in these races. We got a quick shot of Mung there. And Stephen, who's dropped a long way down now because of his mistake. Really, he was showing good pace, could have been on the podium, but I think that mistake's really shown that he still needs to put a bit more work into his overall race preparation, really know the limits of his car. As we are on board with our race leader, Jaganat, going to make that 18th lap, as is Martin. And Jack, they're coming out that final corner. The second platform. Oh, was that a wide moment? I think it was. And these guys aren't going to get another lap. So Jack's dropped it on the final, or the penultimate corner. Mung's going to scrape himself a podium there. What a great gutsy drive by Mung. He kept in it. He kept his nose clean all race, and he's going to pull himself out a podium there. First man across the line. And Jack's going to be kicking himself for a mistake on the final lap. What could have been? What should have been, you could say. G-Rabbit takes a strong 5th position. Kept his nose clean in a difficult car. Spooky's going to take, I believe, 6th position. That's a great drive for him in the Jaguar. Good solid all-round car, but not one that most people would consider kind of class leading. Stephen dropped back behind Spooky again, so it looks like he made a mistake or pitted late. Took a new best lap last time by Coolio. Quiet race out in 8th position. Kind of was in a battle early on. But kind of settled down. Got way too much fuel left. So there's something he needs to work on. There's Jules. He'll finish in 9th in the Mercedes. Rocker hangs on to 10th. And Canny drops it just where Jack did to lose the penultimate position. He'll finish 13th and Daz in 12th. And like I say, JC in the Midlife Racing Crayola car. Daz in the PSD Racing car. And Canny in the KSC Motorsports car. But the Jaganat, or Jaganat as it should be, sets pole, fastest lap, led almost every lap, and takes a supremely dominant victory. Martin, probably the driver of the day, started not so far up the grid, fell to 9th, and came all the way back to 2nd. So there's our podium. We've got Jaganat, as we said before, for CS Racing Junior. He'll take his first win in Tier 2. And we have Martin backing up his strong first place last time out with a 2nd position here, and Mung scraping himself a nice P3. And of course the pole position and fastest laps were taken by Jaganat in the Mazda RX Vision Group 3 car. So as we take a look how that impacts the standings, Martin hangs on to the overall championship lead by a single point, with Jaganat just behind. Mung and Stephen get demoted a place, and Flapjack stays in the 4th position. They're all tied on 19 points, him and Stephen, and Mung one ahead. So it's very tight at this point in the championship, but we'll see how it all kind of leads ahead in the following round, which will be at Lago Maggiore in the Group 1 VGT class. Catch you then. Thank you very much, and goodbye.